Hello, everyone, and welcome to another. I always forget the title of these things. Switched to Restream. This is the OSR tabletop with myself, DM Bloodworth, and as a part of Unscripted and Unchained RPG review. Eventually, I'll get used to calling this the old, um, the OSR tabletop. Need to create a new tag for that, but this is in response to a request on my previous live stream to take a look at the this prompt. So, why you should play games or systems you've never played before. So, so this topic, I really do enjoy talking about this topic because it is one that really does back up my push for um, for playing at conventions, and I think a convention space is the best place for you to be introduced to new game systems, to as either a player or as a game master. It's a great opportunity for you to try out new game systems and see how they work. At a game table, a very fluid, um, on the spot and certainly risky proposition of running a brand new game system to yourself as a game master and running it in a convention setting because you really are on the spot. You really are expected to perform and and to run the game well and to run it in a way that is entertaining for players that you've most likely never met before, and for that experience to conclude, and for everyone to at least in the moment express that they really did enjoy the time spent is a great is a great feeling to have, that you've actually under that kind of pressure put out a session that the players really did enjoy. And it's also important for you to remember that you're supposed to enjoy it as well. So hopefully you enjoyed it as well. So let's see. So Mongoose Publishing Legend ran the version of Traveller 5e, 4e, etc. Been looking at Bastions. Um, been looking at Bastions and DMG review. It does remind me of Savage Worlds headquarters. I think it can be used with other game systems. Yeah, and it's and welcome Dark Winter. And I am going to put the invitation up here if anyone wants to join in. Um, and see, I should be sending to. Good. I have like a weird thing. Can post message to some channels, learn more. Um, I don't know. That's kind of weird. I've never seen that before on Restream. So this is only like my third or fourth time using Restream here. So things sometimes come up that I'm a little bit, um, it's new to me. You've been working hard this week. Lots of great new content. Well, thank you very much. Need more cowbell. Yeah, I've been trying to mess around with quite a few things, and on top of having this like internet issue, last week where my uploads were just taking forever, And on a third visit from Spectrum, the guy finally came in. The technician finally came in, and he didn't change anything out, but I think he finally registered my modem, to the point that he was able to remotely shut it down and then bring it back up again. And then all of a sudden, my upload speeds were back to, fairly normal, which I was like, all right, that was like a week long issue that I was having. Then I started to, try to put I tried to separate my channel, because I do TTRPGs primarily on Unscripted and Unchained RPG Review. Although I was, in theory, doing MMOs and CRPGs as well. And I got to the point where I was like, you know what, I've had a Twitch account forever, and so let me try to separate these two things and figure out a way on, to put the computer RPGs and the MMOs over on Twitch exclusively. The only problem with Twitch is that you have to have 50 followers. So yes, I am asking you to head over to Twitch TV, and I'll put a link for that in the in the comments section of this video once it goes live on the channel. And I think it's already in there in my at the very very bottom of descriptions and everything. You'll see it there as well. But yeah, if you can, head on over to Twitch if you're already using it, and just follow my channel, because I need 50 followers and 8 hours of content within a month in order to get the affiliate, so that I can directly upload to Twitch. So there's kind of an advertisement for that as well. But I thank you for your, mentioning the amount of content that I have been churning out. And I'm trying to, include more as I go along. Ran Star Wars, the Force system could be a bit better, but they're being careful with their game system. Nice. All right. Holy. All right. Well, thank you. And let's see. So I have a backlog of games to try. There are a few lighter and even more storytelling games that I quite enjoyed, which I would have never played if I hadn't decided to try something a bit different. Yeah, and uh, Dave, the GM, that's really important. It's something that Gary Gygax, had always said, even back in the day, and in his book, in his game mastery book, and even his player mastery book that he wrote in, 89, 90, somewhere around there, that you'll never truly master being a player in tabletop role playing games, or as a game master. You'll never master game mastery if you limit yourself in the games that you're running, or in the modes that you're running games as well. I mean, he was a big proponent of changing your venue. So if you're running just house games, then go to a local library or a local game shop and run games there. And once you've done that, now then go to a convention and run games there. In the time period, that he was talking, I mean, there wasn't as much internet as we have today, obviously, but I'm sure that he would say you should run virtual games as well. That way, you're ever expanding your, the mode in which you're playing, and you're ever expanding the people that you're going to meet. And I have run games for people all over the world. And I have played with people all over the world, from all over the world. And that's the internet that is going to allow for that kind of thing. But then you go to big conventions or even medium-sized conventions, and you're going to meet people from all over all over the United States for certain. And sometimes people come across from Canada or whatnot, or if they happen to be here, they'll hit a gaming convention. So you just don't know who is going to end up sitting at your table when you're running a convention game, and a real that's a real growth mechanism. All right, that is going to really get you to the point where you're honing your skills of just running a session to begin with. You're potentially running a new game system even for yourself, which I have done that in the past, and it really is. It's both a challenge, but it's also very rewarding when you come through with it. The first time that I ever ran Blade Runner RPG, that was at a convention. The first time that I ever, well, I played Weird Frontiers, which is a DCC based game, at a convention, and then the following year I actually ran it, and that was my first time running it. So I ran it at a convention, and it was a great experience. The first time that I ran Shadow Dark was at a convention as well. So uh, convention spaces is my personal favorite for running or playing new game systems. The first time that I ever played Hyperborea was at a convention space as well. Um, excuse me, let me get a little sip. So, yeah, I mean, I really love this topic because it allows for us to talk about all of the various game systems that we were possibly introduced to, that we might not have ever come across if it weren't for walking into a game shop and seeing somebody run something, and say, hey, what is that game? And they invite you to sit down at the table and you just start playing it, or at a convention or whatnot. Like I said, conventions are a great place to go. Even small ones, you're going to see four, five, six different games being run there at any given time at a really, really small convention space. And and then when you go to the next block, time block of scheduled games, you might see a completely different grouping of games again. All right. And so I've been to conventions where there were only about 40, 50 people at, and there were maybe five tables set up. And yet I would have been introduced to seven different game systems, at that one tiny little 1 day convention. So, and then you go to some of the larger ones, and now they have 40 sessions per time slot, and just imagine the number of games that you can be introduced to in that kind of a setting as well. So we have a question here. Dave, what storytelling games did you like? Now, I have never played like Blades in the Dark or anything along those lines. What is that? Powered by the Apocalypse, which are, to me, that's what is referred to generally as a storytelling game. So I've never played one of those, and certainly that would be something that I would like to try, just so I can grow and say, hey, I've now tried one of these games. I've seen Ten Candles played. All right, or at least briefly, I've seen it played. Thousand-Year-Old Vampire was an interesting, despite the author getting political on the purchase page. All right, yeah, it's that's sometimes you run into that kind of thing with publishers. So, but I'm trying not to let that kind of thing get in the way of trying new game systems. Except unless the publisher says, if you are the X, Y, or Z, or believe X, Y, or Z, then do not buy my product. I will never, I will never defy somebody's stated goal when they tell you not to buy their product. It's like, okay, fine, but other than that, I will try any game system that at least looks like it's going to give me something new to check out. Let's say, hey Ajax, how do you handle nervousness about getting it wrong rules wise? Maybe choosing a rules like game instead of Crunchy. Um, I tone I tone game systems down. So like when I ran Weird Frontiers at ShireCon, not this past year, the year prior to, it was my first time running Frontiers, and Weird Frontiers is a massive rule book. All right, the core rule book is 500 pages, and then if you throw in the Tome of Magic, then you're looking at almost 1,000 pages. Um, I limited the character classes that they could play because I didn't want Magic to become such a big role in the game. I knew it would be very, very time consuming. And so I trimmed that down. I trimmed down, and by doing that, what I did was I selected only about four or five character classes that the players would have as pre-gens, or even if they were creating their characters. I only gave them those five character classes. I only wanted two classes that were focused on firing firearms, because the firearms included a poker deck where they had to choose cards from for the variance in their effectiveness or misfires and that kind of thing. So I certainly modified the rules to make a very crunchy system more rules light. When you're running at a convention, you have to run your game session for a convention. All right, so that's the key thing, and you're going to tailor the game system for that purpose as well. Hey, Decado, and Decado was one of my players in the last convention we were at ShireCon, and then he and I played in Hyperborea together, and that was my certainly my first time playing it, and I believe it was probably his first time playing. I don't know actually if that was his first time playing it, but it was certainly my first time playing it, and um, and so I can tell you with one of my players sitting here on the stream that yeah, I definitely modified the game system that I was running in the game that he sat in. So I was running Shadow Dark, and I changed Shadow Dark in the way that they were going to get their luck points much quicker, and they were getting their luck points and being able to spend them very much the same way that momentum worked in Conan 2D20 for that purpose of convention play, because I wanted to make it kind of emulate the feel that you get from Conan 2D20, because originally that adventure was written for that system, and now I converted it to Shadow Dark, and I think it worked out pretty well. There was some little tweaks that I still had to do to it to really elevate it to that kind of really dynamic point. But I did a lot of new things at that table that I had never done before, and so to get back to that question of, how do you deal with the nervousness of, um, the nervousness that you might have in changing it. I'll put this back up here again. So, how do you handle nervousness about getting it wrong? I was never really worried about getting it wrong. I was more worried about everyone having a good time at the table, and so the rules, basically rules be damned if the players aren't having a good time. You're going to start altering things. Now, I don't say that you're going to say, "Oh, you don't like the way that this is running. We'll make this change." No, no, you got to just kind of, I think, seamlessly change a few things up without actually saying, I'm changing the rules here because you're not having a good time. You have to read your audience and see how is this going along, and kind of realize that when you're on the spot like that at a convention, with very limited time, you have between 3 and 4 hours to run a session. um, you have to read the room. You basically have to read your players, and you should be able to tell if you're experienced enough. You're going to be able to tell, hey, this person is really quiet, and they're really quiet either because they're very shy or they're not really having fun. They're not really engaged. And so you're going to shift gears a little bit and try to engage that player in getting them to work there. So, um, sometimes you run across that when they're playing a completely new system to themselves. And so they kind of take a, I'm going to sit back and see how this flows kind of attitude. And you're going to, um, you want to encourage them to engage in that new game system, and you know just try to bring them to that point of where they become comfortable with it. Another thing is important to remember is that players playing a new system are also nervous. All right, so it's not just running the game that makes you nervous, but it's they're at a new table. They're at with a group of people that they may have never known before, never met before, and now all of a sudden they're going to spend the next 3 to 4 hours with this group of players and a new game master, and they're afraid to ruin the experience for others, and plus they're also sitting there and hoping that it's time well spent for themselves. So yeah, there's a lot of challenges in convention play that you don't have at your home table, or if you're on a VTT with a group of players that you've played with for a while, or even the same gaming group coming together at a local game shop. Yeah, convention play is a whole different whole different ball of wax, and it also gives you, I think, a tremendous amount of opportunities to experience new games as well. Let's see. So we have something. Thing. Takado says it was my first time as a player as well. So I found that the best convention games are about 3 hours long, with around 5 players and a GM, lean and mean games that move at a good pace. Yeah, it's just that conventions also, they typically have 4-hour time blocks. And I get nervous about when there is like a 3-hour time block, because I'm like, I've just experienced too many times where 3 hours is a little too tight to get everything done. 4 hours is perfect, because if your game session is going to run between 3 and 3.5 hours, then you probably have time to do some character creation, which is also really important if you have a rules light system. Number one, but if it's a new system for everyone, then then going over those system rules and doing character creation, on the spot is also there's a value to doing that as well. Um, Again, especially if you're kind of showcasing a new game system for for the players to get involved with. I mean, I can imagine that you can find some pretty obscure um, tabletop RPGs that you might be the only one running that game at a convention, even a large convention, and then it's going to, I think that that will draw people to your table as well. Um, I'm fairly certain when I ran Blade Runner at Rising Phoenix back in 2023, I was the only person running that game system. All right, at the table, and my table filled up right away, and the players had a blast. Um, and you don't see you don't see many of those games being run. I could run Conan 2D20, and I'll guarantee you no one else is running that at a convention. As great as that game is now, because it's virtually impossible to find out there. Um, but no one else is going to be running that at a convention, and you will get players that want to play it just to have that experience as well. Inspectress is another fun one. I'm not sure if it's considered rules light or storytelling, though. I've never even heard of that. Um, so that's interesting. Um, just put in chat what kind of game that is, though. I don't mean what type of game. I mean like what's the theme of it. How do you handle character death if it happens early on in a convention game? You have them roll up a new character, all right, or you have some backup characters in case character death is expected in a convention game. It is if you're going to a convention for the first time, um, expect your character to die. All right, in the session, because players play with convention characters much more boldly than they do in their home games. All right, you're less likely to be overly cautious, let's say, and so yeah, convention games, your characters are most likely going to die, and I think GMs, myself included, we like to have really challenging adventures for the players to go through. It's not like we're rooting for their characters to die, um, but um, we're certainly not adverse to it happening, and just be ready to follow up with, well, here's another character you can play, or you could just rename that character and go on. But yeah, you're not going to let the players sit there for too long doing nothing, and you're certainly not going to eject them from your table because their character is dead. The only person that did that was Frank Mentzner, who had 16 players at his table. There were 8 of us sitting at the table, and then we had 8 backups. And when your character died, you just shifted spaces. Now you are free to walk away, but not a single person, not one of the 11 people whose characters died at Frank's table, walked away as soon as their character, was dead, and that included the guy whose character was killed in the first 10 minutes of the thing. He stood there the entire, 3.5 hours that game session went. It was really an incredible experience to have, and it goes to show you that people have a different mindset, and these were people from all ages too, like early 20s to to 50s and older, like myself and others. I mean, Frank was the oldest person at the table for sure, but yeah, full range of age, and experience at that table as well, and everyone handled their character death extremely well. I survived. We all laughed afterwards. We were like, We should have had, there should be a T-shirt out there that says I survived Frank's table, because that was a bloodbath. It was a real bloodbath. So let's see. Shire Khan was the first time I had, as a player, played Shadow Dark, Hyperborea, and DCC. Also, the first time I had played a D&D in about 20 years. Yeah, so yeah, and Shire Khan's a great convention. I can't talk enough about it, and really looking forward to next year's again. But that's a perfect place, and has proven to be a perfect place to play new game systems. The first time I played AD&D Second Edition was at Shire Con as well, and we played as Muppets in a in a very, like, almost like an Alice in Wonderland kind of, like, thematic kind of thing, where all of our characters were turned into Muppets, and then we were playing this, like, very bizarre adventure. Which was actually pretty lethal too. Although in that particular one, I will give you, an example of some not reading the room well. Myself and another character, both of our characters got paralyzed, and we were paralyzed for almost like an hour and a half of the game session. Our characters were incapacitated, and we literally sat there for like an hour and a half doing nothing. All right, and it was like, I don't know why the game master didn't it never dawned on him that was like, hey, I got two players here out of eight that are sitting here for over an hour doing absolutely nothing. um that's where he should shut it down, and change something. Hey, David. Well, you have a good night. Thanks for popping in, and good to see you. And have a good one. Have a good rest of your week. Yeah, for many of us in the United States, this is a holiday. So this is Columbus Day, and so we had off from work today. So let's see. So it was a Ghostbusters mix with reality TV. It's the simplest way to put it. All right, cool. Um, Deliberately signed up for games I had not played. Yeah, and that's how I usually, do it as well. Is when I go to a convention, I'm looking to play games I haven't played before, and it's it's a perfect example. Like, let's see, what did I? Let me just switch gears here. Uh, Tabletop. Let me jump into my tabletop events real quick and look at my Philadelphia Game Expo, my schedule. So I am going to look at my schedule here. Actually, I can probably share this. Let me share this here. I'm going to show you my schedule for a convention so that you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So here we have my schedule. And so on Thursday night, I am running Shadow Dark, The Slumbering City. The Slumbering City is an adventure written by Tom Wilson. And so I am running Shadow Dark that Thursday night. The next year, if I'm running one of these, special events, because Thursday night is for special guests, I will be running my own adventure, in that time slot. Then I'm running an Oriental's Adventure, Snowblind. And the reason why I'm playing in this one is because Zeb Cook is running it, right? So again, getting to play in that kind of a game is really important. And with that individual person. Then I'm running Shadow Dark again. This is a War in the Valley, and my Shadow Dark campaign is actually running this particular adventure, but it's highly modified. And I will probably run my modified version of this at the table. But originally, A War in the Valley is Tom Wilson's adventure. Then Whiskey Creek Runs Red is my Gangbusters BX adventure that I wrote a number of years ago, and I've been running this at conventions over and over again. This will be the last time. This January will be the last time that I'm running that adventure. I'm going to move on to other things. Then I am playing Castles and Crusades on Saturday morning, and this one I'm fairly certain is Chuck Gumbo from Troll Lord Games. So again, really important to be in the games written by people. Zoom Mafia One Shot. All right, so this is being run by Nerdarchist Ted. So from the guys from Nerdarchy. So I am in that one. Never played that game system before and never played with him. I have a couple of Troll Lord games and Ask Frank Anything. So I'll hopefully be able to see Frank once again. Then I am running the Shards of Ymir, the Shadow Dark game that I was just talking about that I ran at. That was originally Conan 2D20 at ShireCon, and then High Seas Kickstarter demo. So here I'm playing a new game system once again, and I'm the only person signed up for it right now. So that's pretty cool. That's a board game, which I almost never play. So that's that's a pretty cool thing. I'm going to stop sharing now. So as you can see, it's a lot of different stuff. Although very very heavy this year on Shadow Dark, and January I still consider it part of this cycle of my convention running. I start in September, and I run from September to June. That is my kind of, I count it like a school year almost, right? So from September to June is what I consider to be my convention cycle for the year. So it does cross over, a calendar year, yes. So I will be looking after January, though. I'll be looking to be running different games. I'm looking to run Fallout in April at Rising Phoenix. I'm also looking to run for the first time Deadlands at Rising Phoenix as well. And then I'll probably run my Shadow Dark adventure at Rising Phoenix. And then in June, I'm looking to go to the Central New York RPG convention. So that's a new convention that's just starting off. I'm actually going to have the coordinator of that event at that new convention on my channel on the 26th. So he's going to come on my channel on the 26th and talk a lot about what it takes to start up a convention and what is going to be the big standout for his convention, or at least that's what he's hoping for. And I'm really looking forward to it. It's about 3.5 hours from my home, so it's certainly within my driving distance. And I'll be looking to play more than run there, but I'll probably run one or possibly two games there or sessions there. But I'm certainly looking to play more than I run. Let's see. The D&D Old Guard love killing characters at con games. Played with Jim Ward a few years ago, and he started the session by pulling out a bag of small plastic skulls, and he handed out when you died. Yeah, that's awesome. Man, what an opportunity you had And unfortunately, these guys are not going to be around. Certainly not forever, and probably not 10, 15, 20 years from now. They'll all be gone, and so hopefully we all get opportunities to play with these people. That's why I switched my whole schedule around to play with Zeb Cook. And the last time I met Zeb Cook in person was 1985 as an 18-year-old. So to be I'll be 58 or almost 58 by then when I'm seeing him the next time. So I'll be like, hey, you know, I had dinner with you and a whole bunch of other people, 40 years ago at Gen Con 18, and have that chat with him. But playing in his game, I got to figure out what am I going to bring to have him sign. I'll probably bring Zebulon's Guide to the Galaxy and have him sign that. Or something else along those lines. I could have him sign my Oriental Adventures adventure that I have and since he's running Oriental Adventures, that would probably be the best thing to bring for him to sign. But anyway, let's get on. So, hey, Curry Scott, how's it going? And yes, all of us DM. There's several DMs in here too. So, and good evening to all of those DMs as well, plus players. But I think virtually everybody here is probably a game master. And if you are, let me know what system is your kind of go-to system, and you can even further spread that out with the genres, right? So, you could say Dungeons and Dragons, fantasy, uh, Traveler for sci-fi and whatnot, and so on. So, but yeah, that would be really cool to see what everyone is actually running. If anyone wants to join in, I will put there's the link. You can jump right in and join in as well on the chat, and we will continue on. So, I was making a list, all right, and if these are the things that I've either run before, um, played before, or would want to run again at 13 lesbians. Yes, yeah, Takano, I'm sure that you want to play and run in that. Yes, absolutely. Um, I mean, if you haven't played in D&D Basic, going back to TSR basic D&D, then seriously, what are you waiting for? You should absolutely, and it doesn't matter whether it's Holmes Edition, Moldvay, or Metzner's Beckme, any one of those three, you should certainly take the opportunity to play in one of those or to run it. AD&D First Edition, I think, is one of those, really important game systems for you to have either played in or run. I want to try D&D 3.5. I've never played it, and I would like to see how that really compares to the other fantasy role-playing games that I have played, you know, um, whether it's D&D or just related to, because I've been told by more than just a few people that most of the OSR is really based off of a lot of what we kind of parallel would have seen coming out in 3.5, between 3.0 and 3.5. So that would be, that's what I would like to play at least once. Um, yes, you are clearly the target audience of that. So you had a blast in AD&D again. Yes. Yeah, there's just something about AD&D First Edition, and I've never I've played I've played for Golden Glory, which is the OSR version of AD&D Second Edition. I've played an AD&D Second Edition, but like I said, as a Muppet, so I don't know exactly how that translated over. I believe I was like a rogue character in that, but I was like a some the Muppet that is a weasel kind of creature, and he was he was a rogue for sure. So. So that was the only time I ever played AD&D Second Edition was as a Muppet. But going down my list, I mean, I am not a big fan of 5e post Tasha's and all of the decisions that Wizards of the Coast has done with the game system since Tasha's. But um, but you should have at least played 5e. In my opinion, you should have played it at least once. I've played it a few times. I've never run it. Um, and I don't own it anymore to run it. So I'm not going to ask my niece for my books back so I can run them. They are hers. Um, but um, but 5e is something that you should have, uh, or that you should at least try, um, and see how you like it. Castles and Crusades is one that I run, most frequently, and a game system that I think you should really experience as a player and run it as a game master as well. Although I've never run Castles and Crusades at a convention space, I'm guessing it would run so similar to D&D or AD&D or D&D 5e that you know I don't know. It just doesn't strike me as the kind of game that I would like to run at a convention. I'm not sure. I'm waiting to see how it's run, by the Troll Lord Games staff to see how exciting and adventure it is. I love it as a home system. I don't know if it translates equally well as as a convention game, and maybe others can chime in on that as well. Um, Call of Cthulhu, another one you should try to play if you've never played it before. That's a really fun system. Any of the 2D20 systems, whether it be Fallout or Conan, if you see someone running Conan at a convention, Conan 2D20, um, jump on that game. That game is so much fun to play in. Um, my OSRs or whatever what you want to call Shadow Dark. Shadow Dark is another game system you should definitely try to play or run yourself if you have it. Deadlands, I'm looking forward to running it for the first time. I haven't played Deadlands yet, but I have run Weird Frontiers, which is a much more complicated version of Deadlands. So definitely check that out. DCC, I've played it. I've run Weird Frontiers, which is a DCC based game system. So definitely check that out. GURPS or any of those, what is it, like a generic, role playing system where it's a classless, skill based system. You should definitely check out one of those. Um, Savage Worlds, any game setting of Savage Worlds. Savage Worlds is a great system. I played in Peter's game last, Rising Phoenix. That was an awesome game. It was kind of like it was meant to be Aliens RPG, and it became Savage Worlds and his adventure, and that was a tremendous amount of fun. And that's a great system to use. It uses virtually the same system that Blade Runner uses as well. So multiple different types of die, and the die is your level of experience or expertise with that particular skill that you have. So if you're really skilled, you're running a D12, rolling a D12. If you're not very skilled at all, you're rolling a D4, and you basically need to roll. Um, both low and high. If I'm trying to remember correctly, to get your best effectiveness out of it. Um, let's see, Cal. Let's see. I just played in a 5e campaign for almost 3 years. It was a lot of work to challenge characters for the DM at higher levels. The DM being very experienced too. Yeah, it's like any time that I've ever played. I've played 5e maybe 6 times, and at least in four of those 6 times, they did not do they got rid of the short rests, and they got rid of the death saves, just to make it a little bit more challenging. And my fifth level magic user in the first game that I ever played was, died. Got um, he got chomped on by like three sharks or something. Like, we were doing an underwater adventure, and he just got torn to shreds by three sharks. So that was a very, very quick death. And so it was an interesting experience. I was like, all right, this is pretty cool. Now that was early on, so um, that was prior to Tasha's, which I really do consider it to be the moment that they ruined 5e, was with that book, and then everything beyond that was just trash. So, um, but yeah, I can see, if you're playing a rules light version of it, and really trimming down that action economy as well, then it's a playable system. Too many flaws, in my opinion, though, for it. I've played both D20 and D100 Call of Cthulhu. I own nearly every book for All Flesh Must Be Eaten, but never run it, sadly. Yeah, so hey, that's an opportunity to run it at some point. Um, yeah, I mean, I haven't run or played the D20 version of Call of Cthulhu. I'm just used to second edition. And I mean, I have seventh edition, and it reads and looks like a great game, and people talk about it as being a great game system and everything. Um, but I really do like, second edition, what you kind of see behind me. That's the box set right there, beyond my thumb there. That was an awesome box set to pick up too. So for 5e, stick to the core books and stop once you reach level 10. Yeah, um, that's a good idea. And don't start at level 5 like they have people do a lot of times too. Have them start as, the dirt farmer kind of thing. All right. So let me continue down my list. And then you should definitely try some other game systems. Like, I really like Lion and Dragon, all right, from the RPG Pundit. You know, that's and or any game that is written to be like an authentic medieval kind of setting. I mean, I love Mythrog too, which is much more of a authentic kind of setting, although it's not quite medieval. It's like pre-medieval. Um, I love Bushido. That's really authentic, and that's an incredible system to play. It's crunchy as hell, and I don't know how we managed to figure out that system. Like, looking back at it, I was like, wow, that actually worked for us. I was like, I played that when I was 15 or 16 years old, and just amazing that we were able to manage that system. um, Sword Bearer is another one that's like that. That was another game. Game designers work. Not no, not game designers. Fantasy Grounds Unlimited, if I recall correctly, and that was another great system. Crunchy again, but certainly really interesting to play. Um, Rollmaster is the only old school game system that I could not stand. I just that was too damn crunchy. I mean, character creation took me over 3 hours and I still left points on the table. I was like, I don't care anymore. I'm not spending these other 200 points and trying to figure out how to place them with all of the restrictions and things that you had. It was like I just worked on the. I was like, I just want to play now, and then once I got into combat, I was like, oh, this is horrible. But you won't know those kinds of things unless you try game systems out, So that clearly showed me that this is not the game system for me. I just did not like Rollmaster at all. Um, I played MERPS back in the day, Middle Earth role playing system, and I recall that was very authentic to Middle Earth, and probably one of the best games to really capture that. I have not run the or played in the One Ring yet, so that's another game system I would love to see someone actually running that in the wild at a convention. I would jump in on that right away, just to give that a try. What are they running it from the PDFs? I'm waiting for the books to come out, and then I'm certainly going to take a look at it, purposely avoiding reading anything but the revised rule book so I can get the specific experience as someone who seems to GM more than they PC. Yes, I'm, but yeah, I'm waiting for that game system. I'm waiting for the hardcovers to come. Once I have that, then I will really start doing a deep dive. And what I will probably do is I will probably pull systems out of it to use for high level play in other game systems. Like I have my AD&D first edition group that is kind of doing the Dominion level play, but they were limited by what AD&D First Edition was actually given, even though that has a lot of higher level play involved with it. And I'll probably port over some ideas from Acts 2 over into that. I think Acts 2, the last time I was reading it, it was like really suggesting that you start the player characters off at higher level to begin with. Maybe not like super high level, but like fifth level or so was the recommended starting level for that game. So you can correct me if I'm wrong. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Science Mile. But I think it tells you to run it starting like level 5. Yes, from the PDFs. I don't like running games with just the PDFs. I mean, I don't like running games without PDFs either because they're really, really useful to just kind of take a look at real fast. But I just like having both in my hands for some reason. So I like having the book on the table and then to, have the PDF at quick, oh my God, excuse me, quick, quick reach to there. I don't know why I'm so tired today. So anyway, so Lion and Dragon, Chalt is another game. So Crimson Dragon Slayer is another awesome game system that's put up by Venture Satanis, and super rules light, very very dynamic, quite brutal, and set in Chalt, which is a crazy gonzo setting and everything. Just so much fun. I would love to run that as well. Um, I'm waiting to get to a convention where Venger is actually there, and then we can actually play in one of his games live, because when he runs things online, he likes to do by text, and I don't like playing by text. Um, so even though I've played in 2 of his game sessions by text only, it was fun, but it wasn't as much fun as if we were actually just playing on a VTT or playing in person for sure. So and I can't get out to VentureCon. I wish I really could, but time of the year and travel distance just really does make it impossible for me to get out there. Oh, I'm all messed up today. I'm yawning, burping, doing all kinds of stuff today. So, every other week. We start at level one. I think that should just have to be for people who are already familiar with the previous system or something because just fine. But we're running 2 hour sessions every other week. Um, yeah, that's cool. It's kind of a short session. Um, but I guess if you just right to gameplay, that should be fine. Um, but yeah, 2 hours is a little bit short for me. I prefer anywhere from like 3 to 3.5. 4 is kind of stretching it for me. I can't do 4 hours, or it's very, very difficult for me to do 4 hours. So other game systems. What else is out there that I'm dying to play? Alien. I was really expecting to play Alien the last time, Alien RPG, and then it ended up being a Savage Worlds, but a lot of fun anyway. So it was perfect way to run it and setting for it. Running around his house, yeah, trying. I have everything behind me. I mean, there's so many things behind me that I have, that I would love to run again, that I haven't in 40 years, or more. I mean, I can look behind me just to be real quick. I mean, just looking at my TSR stuff, I haven't played Gamma World since the early 80s, and I'd love to play in it. Um, I I haven't played Conan, TSR's Conan. Then I've never played Indiana Jones. I only got it for the car chases. Boot Hill I haven't played since probably like 1980. Um, Marvel superheroes um, I haven't played that since the 80s. Top Secret I haven't played since the 80s. Dawn Patrol I've never played, but I grabbed a hold of it. Star Frontiers I played it a couple of years ago. It was actually some of the earliest adventures that I was writing and running for for online play. Let's see, what else do I have that I haven't run in forever? Pirates and Plunder was one of the worst games I've ever actually owned and ran. And that goes back to, again, early 80s. That came, I mean, that's not, it's a pirate game that doesn't have boarding actions in it. So it was like, I mean, it's such a weird omission that they had, but not a very prolific game company that put that out, and not a great game system. Um, Bushido I have run, and it's a lot of fun. I haven't played James Bond 007 in ages. Um, Dragon Warriors I haven't run that yet. Um, would love to. Marvel Multiverse I haven't played that yet either. Um, I probably wouldn't like running that. Let's see. Frontier Space I haven't run yet, and that's very similar to Star Frontiers. So it's a modern variant of Star Frontiers, with all of the serial numbers rubbed off of it and everything. It's certainly a modernized system as well. That would probably be a lot of fun to play and run as well. So that could be something to get um, my action sci-fi kind of going on. Um, yeah, I'm sure Alien is a lot of fun. Um, it's supposed to be a great game system. Um, I had I don't remember what my Smith Corona typewriter was in the early '80s, but it had a built-in memory where you could save up to 8 pages of single spaced type in it, and it used to um, it used to run it back and forth. Like you used to be able to edit it, before you'd print it out and everything. And But it still had one of those print tapes in it. This is one that used to have the ribbon, right? And it had the ribbon that had the white line below it that could go back and auto correct your mistakes after you had typed it. And it was an awesome system for 19. I want to say that was like around 1982 ish that I got that. I graduated in '85, so might have been even earlier than that. It might have been like '81, if I'm thinking about it. And yeah, I used to type up adventures on there, maybe a Bronstein style scenario. Yep. Top secret, cheesy James Bond, '60s and '70s fun. What's cheesy James Bond? You're talking about Victor McGaines? Oh, Austin Powers. I see what you're saying. All right, yeah. So to have like a kind of goofy James Bond variant, yeah. Um, so let's see what else would I love to play again. Um, I don't know where I have it. I don't remember where I put it. I do have. I want to try to find it. I mean, I've never played Earth Dawn. I haven't run or played Dangerous Journeys or Gary Gygax's Legendary Adventures. I have Cyborg Commando. I've never run that or played it. I'm looking to see where I tucked away my. I'm looking to see where I tucked away my Sword Bearer. So, but that game was a lot of fun to play. We set it in the gore setting, right? So we were taking what we were reading from the gore novels back in that early '80s time frame, and then converting it over and that was my DM Adam was running that campaign, and just had a ball with it. And gore was a pretty cool setting for 13, 14 year olds. So it was pretty, a lot of slavery, a lot of nudity, and a lot of just really really dangerous, especially with that game system. It was a pretty rough game system to play. Combat was very very severe. um, so made it a lot of fun. Yeah, Spy Hard. Yeah, there's different eras of it, right? So they have the new one, which is a New World Order, and then they have the classic, I guess. I don't think there was any in between, or maybe there was. Someone will probably come out and say, "Oh yeah, there's been like 5 editions of it." Um, I have a bunch of games I want to run today. I was thinking about Amazing Adventures one shot based on the video game Left 4 Dead. Yeah, and they just made an announcement, Troll Lords, that the new one's coming out very soon. Um, Now, I have a feeling that some of those new ones that they're coming out with are just taking out the OGL. And so if you have the old one, you're going to be fine with it. I have Amazing Adventures as well. Um, I'm hoping they expand it a little bit so it's not just pulp action, but you can get into the like a Gangbusters X kind of esque kind of setting as well. Um, but that's a system I would like to play, and it's a siege engine though, so you're playing the same game as you're playing Castles and Crusades, just a different theme of it. So you really can't go wrong if you like the siege engine. You're going to enjoy amazing adventures. Let's see. So other things that I put on my list. That's pretty much it. I mean, so all of these games that the one that I have not run or played in that I would like to give it a try is D&D 3.5. I'd love to give D&D 3.5 a try. Um, oh, it shipped. All right, cool. Then, gosh, did I back that? I don't think I backed it. I think I was just waiting for it to come out. Gonna have to wait. I have 3 weddings between now and November to go to, so all of my buying is kind of put off to the side for the next probably 2 months or so, and then we're getting right into the Christmas season. So that's gonna be tight. I'm probably not buying anything until January or thereafter. Um, I gotta wait to see and make sure that I'm going to page two with enough buying so I can buy some stuff that they're either auctioning off or just have for sale there. So let me ask you, Cal, like 3.5, um, is 3.5 significantly better than, um, let's say, AD&D First Edition? Um, is it surpassed by 5e? Is it like, how would you put that in the context of better or worse than those two editions? Yeah, I gotta see when I'm gonna get around to doing it. Um, I I mean, I could run one shot adventures in that and get those adventures. Now, they won't be one session adventures, they'll probably take more than one. But I have adventures, like backlog of adventures that I've written for that game system, and I can run those anytime I get the time slot to do them in. Um, when I decided not to go on a hiatus with Castles and Crusades, that kind of limits me on the time slots. Now that I'm doing Fallout Thursday mornings, and then I have my every other week Friday night Castles and Crusades game that I'm a player in, and then my Saturday night. I'm up to 4 game sessions a week now, and I'm not sure when I'm going to squeeze that in. I'd have to get rid of a game session um, that I'm, either the one that I'm playing in or one of the 3 that I'm running before I can work in Mifrog into a weekly session or bi weekly session. So I'll get back to you on that, Decado. But I can definitely run that system, and I can definitely, you know, again, I have to wait to see what's going on, most likely with my Friday night game, and see what I can do with that. Um, because it's just tough to get in more than 4 game sessions a week. Even being semi-retired, it's really tough to get that in there. I'd say not better than OD&D or 1 or 2. 3.5 is complicated. 5 isn't as complicated with the basic game. Really? Oh, that's interesting. All right. Well, 5e isn't really that complicated with the basic. I think just the action economy of 5e is pretty tough. I have 3.5. I have not started breaking it down yet. I haven't started really looking at it. Maybe I'll start doing a series of looking through 3.5 for the first time, and I would love for you to chime in on that. Having the amount of experience you have with it, I'd love for you to chime in and talk about it, in the comments or whatnot when I do start looking at 3.5. If you haven't played Pathfinder, I would compare it to that if you want to compare 3.5 to other systems. Right, so Pathfinder 1, I'm assuming, and which kind of makes sense because 3.5 and then Pathfinder is often called 3.75. Um, it's really built off of the 3.0 engine anyway. So, but Pathfinder has a bit of the same thing with that, like really complicated action economy. So a lot of different steps and secondaries that you can do when you miss your initial action. You have too many backup actions. It just makes it take forever to resolve a single combat round if you have, 4, 5, 6 players or more sometimes. Yeah, it's really tough to it's really tough to get um, more than 4 sessions. I don't know how anybody does more than 4 sessions on in their schedule. It's tight. It's really tight. Um, and I'm actually doing a session when my wife is at work, so that's easy. Actually, both my kids are at school as well, or work as well. So that is like Thursdays. I am alone, from 8 in the morning until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So that's my wide open time. I could say the same thing for Friday mornings as well. Um, but I can't do a game session Friday morning if I'm also doing a game session every other Friday evening because just that many hours sitting in a chair will kill me. Uh, so uh, so I'm going to have to wait and see where I'm squeezing in that next one. I play in one game Gonzo Sci-Fi every 2 weeks and a once a month Frostgrave. I've heard about Frostgrave. Never tried it, never played it, but yeah, I'd love to get a Chult game going too. See, there's just so much that I would love to do, and that's why conventions is the perfect place, to go to try game systems you never played before, and so I encourage everybody, to go to conventions that you can afford to go to, ones that are close for you to go to, and go to as many as you can, during the course of the year. Um, I'm at 4. I'm looking at potentially 5 conventions a year now, and that's probably my maximum capacity as well. Um, because now it looks like 3 of them are going to be stay away from home conventions, like so having to stay at least one night, if not two, there as well. So and that's a commitment level that family wise, that's a commitment level that takes a lot, to manage getting it through. The one good thing about the new convention I'm looking to go through is it's in June, so it's not a weather issue, like January's convention could oftentimes become. So, but definitely looking at doing between 4 and 5 conventions this upcoming season, my convention season. You're painting 30. I haven't painted more than 3 minis in my lifetime, let alone 30 a month. That's crazy. That's a convention I would love to be able to go to, and it's not in my cards. Um, Plus, I see most of those guys, like most of the people that are at North Texas, I see in my local area. I mean, whether it be Eric Tenkar or some of the other people that go, Joe the lawyer, and those people. Um, Basically, all those people that are kind of in Eric Tenkar's group. Um, I see those guys at the conventions I go to because we're all, New York, Pennsylvania, northeastern, you know, people. So definitely see all those people anyway. But could I get out to North Texas? No. I just like I'll never get out to a Gen Con or a Gary Con or a even the Wizard Towers or Dave Cons, they're all either require flying to or driving 15 hours to get to it, and it's just too much. It's just too much of a haul, and to fly, um, even if it's cheap airfare, to fly out of Kennedy Airport in New York City is a freaking nightmare. Not one that I would recommend, or force anybody to deal with, having to either pick me up or drop me off or leave my car there for a week, or 4 or 5 days and then come back and have that added expense. It just makes conventions to the Midwest for me are going to be like $1,200 affairs to go to. Meanwhile, I can go to local conventions that at the most are going to cost me $600 to go to. So it's just not a viable thing for long distance travel. Yeah, yeah, it's exactly what I just said. It's like to having to fly there. It's expensive and it's a hassle. The hassle of flying by airfare is insane. I only like to do it like once a year. Over 1,000 minis a year. It's totally insane. Hmm. Yeah. 5,500. Yeah, would definitely make you blind. I've done. We just shifted gears. These are the minis that I have painted, and this was almost like a year and a half ago. So that's the first mini I have painted in forever, and it's just a very very simple um Reaper's miniature, little dwarf skeleton there, and still on the rack. Still haven't finished this one here. So there's my orc. I was working on his chainmail. I still have to do his skirt. Then I have to touch up his. I have to touch up his leather armor with the metal spikes once again, because it came out okay on the shield, on the backside of the shield. You can see the metallic spikes, there a little bit. I'm sorry, it's a little bit blurry. Um, but I have to do his skirt now, which is like a fur skirt below the black chainmail. So He's almost done actually, and I just can't get around to getting it done. It's been sitting there for God knows how long, and still needs to get wrapped up. Yeah, yeah. You know what? I just stopped caring about it being so perfect. Because I can't see that crap either. Yeah, that would be fun to watch you guys doing a paint stream. Yeah, together, both of you side by side, and you can get DM James on there as well. Hmm. We very rarely used them when we were kids. Like I mean, we had minis and everything, but we weren't. We used to play on my first dungeon master used to put out this huge sheet of like butcher paper, and we would graph out our we would graph out the map, basically on it, and and there we would put our minis on it, just to kind of show, like, we weren't that detailed, like with facing and everything like that, but yeah, we had minis, and a lot of times they were either not painted or our DM painted most of the stuff anyway. He was always very precise with his ability to. He was always more artistic than most of us too. So yeah, he was good at that kind of stuff. But we never like we didn't overly rely on that. Even the mapping and everything. My friend Adam used to do the mapping, and then he became our second dungeon master. Um, our primary dungeon master graduated from high school after the eighth grade. Basically he was, so he left us. Um, he left us in time for the ninth grade. And went off to college in ninth grade, so we kind of lost our DM there, and then Adam picked up as our D&D DM, and I was running other game systems. So I was doing like Twilight 2000 and V&V, Villains and Vigilantes. He was doing AD&D First Edition and Call of Cthulhu, and James Bond. He was running. Um, I did Star Frontiers from time to time, so just a lot of different games that we were running, and we kind of alternated. We were still playing 6 days a week back then, so plenty of time for gaming. Yeah, that's cool. Cool. Yeah, I definitely love to see that. Yeah, I love to see you guys streaming together and doing that. Alrighty. So I'm going to probably wrap this up soon because again, it's coming up on an hour and a half, and I think that we've touched a lot of different topics and mentioned a lot of game systems and everything. And I think getting back to, I love the idea of a prompt for this live stream. I will not be live streaming on Thursday because I have a wedding rehearsal dinner to go to on Thursday. None of my gaming after tomorrow night's Castles and Crusades is going to be taking place for the remainder of the week. maybe Saturday night's Shadow Dark. I'm not quite sure when we're getting home Saturday, and then we have another party to go to Sunday, which is going to suck. But that's I'm probably going to go from Tuesday to Tuesday without doing anything gaming wise. I will probably do a remote video from the hotel. I think Friday morning I'm like alone Friday morning at the hotel. I'll probably do something then from my iPad, and then that'll be it. So it's going to be a light week coming up after we leave Thursday, early afternoon for the hotel. So I will definitely do some. I'll definitely do some videos, some shorts, and some videos Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and then don't expect to see too much from Thursday um, through Sunday. I forget if Sunday morning. I hope it's a freaking brunch. It's not my family, so it's just a nuisance. I hope it's like a brunch, and maybe I'll be back Sunday night. Um, but hopefully I can get some stuff out. Like I said, Friday morning I'm certainly going to be open to doing something just from the hotel room. Uh, before Friday night's wedding, I should have some time, to myself to do some kind of video upload during that time. All right, everyone. So thanks so much for popping in. Good number here. I have like 33 viewers in here. And please feel free to give me a topic for the following week, right? So let me look at the calendar really quick. So on the 26th, um, wait, is that right? The 26th, I got to double check. I thought I was going to interview somebody on the morning of the 26th. I'm not. Oh, yeah. The morning of the 26th, I am interviewing someone. So it's this weekend. I'm not available. So the morning of the 26th, I'm doing an interview. There'll be a lot of content coming out over the next couple of days, and then about 4 days, nothing, and then the following week, I should have quite a bit coming out there. I want to make a Dark Sun themed D&D 5e campaign, but I'm struggling to best use the content. Any advice? Well, I've never played Dark Sun or in the setting, but I just love the idea of cannibal halflings. It's pretty freaking cool. I would say I'm looking to do a D&D campaign set in the Theocracy of the Pale, or around somewhere around there, that is going to be a much, much darker version of what I typically do. And I'm looking to have it where you have like super zealous lawful good paladins and other lawful good members of the Theocracy of the Pale that are really kind of the bad guys. And then you'll have another faction, probably under the deity of Ouijas, that is lawful neutral, actually, that are actually combating this religious zealotry kind of thing. And so it's not necessarily good against evil, and it's not law against chaos. It's really lawful good versus lawful neutral, and trying to just break the crushing um, zealotry of lawful good, from imposing upon the free peoples of Banded Kingdoms and other surrounding areas and such. So I think that should be a pretty interesting thing to do. I was going to use AD&D Second Edition for that, but I might actually consider using. I might actually use Adventures Dark and Deep Second Edition, which I'm expecting the books to come soon, fairly soon, and I might use that system for it. It's from the Greyhawk Grognard, which perfect person to run a Greyhawk campaign using his game system. So that's probably where I'm going to go with that. And that might be Staccato, something that I'm running in December and beyond, as or September, January and beyond as well. So that might be another, really cool campaign to jump in on if I do get that launched. Um, and again, I already started working on that. And I already started just getting the theme of it. I already have a title for it and everything. So I'm just looking for the game system for it. And it'll probably be Adventures Dark and Deep. Although I'm going to modify that because I want to have a system that eliminates the two hit charts. They're in that. They're still in AD&D Second Edition as well. I want to move it more towards like CNC's, um, BTH system that they use, the basic to hit system, so that I can eliminate um, having to use charts to do. Adventures Dark and Deep is one I plan on getting hard copy someday. Yeah, it's just it's the Kickstarter is already done for it. We've already gotten some drafts of it. I believe he I believe Joseph Block was saying that it will certainly be out by January, and if not sooner. So it should certainly be out by January, if not sooner. And it's a really interesting system that adds classes that I haven't seen elsewhere before. Um, as playable classes like the Jester. There are no monks, which I find kind of interesting, but that's cool too. And and it's basically, as he describes it, it's the edition of D&D that Gary Gygax would have written if you take all of his, like, Dragon Magazine and and other comments from like Dragon's Foot, that message board and stuff, and if you kind of extrapolated from those writings of his, what would he have written instead of AD&D Second Edition, if he was still with TSR? And that's how Joseph Block kind of lays it out, that this is what his view is based on those earlier writings. Um, and It's a cool system. I mean, I really do like the system. And like I said, I can't think of a better system to fit in the world of Greyhawk other than AD&D First Edition, which Greyhawk was written for. This one will certainly go into the world of Greyhawk really well, as well. So yeah, that's another game system I should have mentioned that I haven't played it or run it, but I would certainly love to. And I'd like to see that at being run at a convention. And Joseph Block goes to those conventions all the time that I go to. I see him there every time, and yet he's vending. He's not running. So I'd love to have him running something and sit in one of his games, because that would be really cool. So if he ever sees this video, which he might, that's my hope, is that you'll actually spend some time running something, or at least maybe I missed you running a game. As a matter of fact, I think I did miss you running a game, but I don't think you were running Adventures Dark and Deep. I think you were running something else. You were running some war game, as a matter of fact. Yes, he did run. Yeah, he ran Adventures Dark and Deep at ShireCon. Um, no, he ran a war game at ShireCon. Now that I'm remembering it, yeah, he had that big table set up and everything. So he did run that at ShireCon, but it wasn't Adventures Dark and Deep. So that's what I'm hoping he does. So anyway, all right, everyone. Well, thanks for joining in, and you will have a great rest of your week. I look forward to seeing you on the gaming screen or at a convention sometime soon. My next convention will be in January. And as always, um, remember to like and subscribe, and you can scan this little scan that's been up here to join this channel. And on my closeout, um, on my end screen, you will see also another QRC code or QR code that you can scan for my Twitter account to join my Twitter account. And definitely said yes, that's what he ran. He ran using a mini game he designed. Yes. So anyway, thanks everyone for coming in, and I will leave the end screen up for a few moments. So if you want to just scan those things and follow, uh, really appreciate it. And as always, you'll have a great one. Keep on gaming. Keep on expanding your horizons. Play game systems you've never played before. Run game systems you've never played, run before, and expand your modes of play. So if you're only playing at home, get to a library, or play online, or go to a convention. Even better yet. All right, you'll have a great one. Take care.